See, part A is all physical geography. So as I've already told you in orientation also, here you have geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, biogeography, and environmental geography. So in paper 1, you'll be asked questions from both the parts. Question 1 to question 4 will be from part A, and question 5 to question 8 from the part B. Okay. So this is the human geography part, and this is the physical geography part. Okay. Now, you'll be having a choice here. The question 1 and question 5 is compulsory. And here you have 2, 3, 4 and 6, 7, 8. So from here, you have to choose at least one question from each section. Okay. So here you can choose one question. And here you can choose 2 questions. Or you can choose 2 questions here, or from there you can choose 1 question. So I would ask you to choose more questions from human geography and start attempting human geography first as compared to physical geography, because physical geography is more factual in nature. And generally, all over India, people will be starting with physical geography. Okay, when they teach geography optional, they start with this. And by the time they finish physical geography, okay, the time will be over because they are spending a lot of time here. And they generally tend to neglect human geography. Okay. And physical geography, they also must have done, okay, here and there in GS also. So that's why the people have a tendency to attempt more questions from physical geography. If you're attempting more questions from this part, your answer sheet will be compared to more number of people. So that is where you relatively tend to score less marks. But if you're attempting the more questions from human geography part, so less number of people will be writing answers from here. Okay. And moreover, the human geography portion, okay, has more scope for creativity. You can include your own ideas. Okay. And when you're comparing your notes of human geography with anywhere in India, your notes will be much more enriched and much more superior in terms of content. Okay. So that's why when you're writing answers from here, your answers will be, okay, more unique. Okay. You'll be writing some original ideas also here. So that is where you can score more marks. And in order to emphasize on human geography, I'll be starting with human geography portion. Okay. Now come to human geography. The first one is the perspectives in geography. The perspectives is a philosophical part. This philosophical part I'll be doing after I complete the entire human geography and physical geography. Because that is when you'll be having a good idea of geography. If I'm talking about something like, possibilism, something like, determinism, until I'll be talking about certain theories, okay, which have been developed in geography. Until unless you have read all the theories in geography, you won't be able to categorize these theories into possibilism or determinism. So if I'm teaching you this in the beginning, okay, it will be like, Greek Latin to you. You won't understand much. So that's why I'll be taking this chapter at the end. Okay. Next, in economic geography, you have world economic development here. Now, unless you don't understand the people and the types of the settlements, you'll understand the development and how to measure, what are the problems. Okay. And world resources and distribution is associated with, okay, your physical geography part. So after we do physical geography, we'll be doing world resources and distribution. Then you have energy crisis, limits to growth, world agriculture typology. So for example, you take this topic, limits to growth. Okay. To what extent we can grow. Okay. Here they're not talking about the economic growth or GDP growth. They're talking about the population growth. So until and unless you don't study the population geography, you can't study the other aspects here. That's why the first chapter, which I'll be picking up here, is population geography, which is the core of human geography. Okay. So without wasting much time, okay, we'll be starting with population and settlement geography. In that, firstly, I'll be starting with population geography. In population geography, you see growth and distribution of world population, demographic attributes, causes and consequences of migration, underpopulation, overpopulation. But if you look at the last chapter, fifth chapter, you'll see demographic transition model, Marxian model, Malthusian model. So these are the various models of population. Okay, these are the various theories given in population. The firstly, I'll be starting with this part. In models and theories, you see Malthusian, Marxian, and demographic transition models. So firstly, I'll do with the theories of population. Then afterwards, we'll go for growth distribution and other population aspects. Okay. The first one which will be starting here is the population theories. So in population geography, I'm starting with population theories. See, for UPSC, what is most important is the notes. Notes is very important. So be clear in your notes what you're writing. Okay. The topics and subtopics should be clarified. And the people who are already my students, they know how to write the notes. Okay. For others, I'm telling you again, please write in plain A4 sheets. Okay. And please leave enough margins. Okay. So the booklet in which you're writing should resemble the booklet of UPSC, like in this pattern. If you're already writing in this, well and good. Because you'll get used to writing in such kind of a paper. Because in examination condition also, you'll be having the same paper. You are already used to writing in such kind of conditions. Okay. Please use this. Okay. If you're writing in A4 sheets, then please draw margins on both the sides. Don't write in ruled copies at all. I'll say, A4 leke aao, huh? Loose sheets leke aao. See, GS to fir bhi, chal gaya, but for this optional, na, please write in loose A4 sheets. Okay. And after you finish every topic, new topic should be starting in the fresh page. Because after every topic, you should be having segregation of the topics. After every topic, okay, if you want to add some extra material, if you want to add some newspaper article, if you have written some answers, if you want to attach with them, you can do that. So whatever value addition you're doing in geography, okay, it should be there in one book. Okay, that should be your master book. Okay, so follow this very strictly. From tomorrow, preferably lose your 4 sheets. Huh? Okay. So let's start with the demographic transition model. The first theory which we'll be doing is demographic transition model. Also called as DTM. Also called as TTT. Demographic transition theory. So here, the word transition itself is conveying that, okay, you're moving from, okay, one mode of demography to other mode of demography, right? So by the way, what is demography? The demography talks about the birth rates, it talks about the death rates, it talks about migration, it talks about literacy, it talks about dependency ratio, it talks about old age population, it talks about other socio-economic indicators. All these are the demographic attributes, right? So all this will be transitioning from one society to other society. Now, if you take the history of population, to go back into the history, as of now, what is the world population? Around 8 billion. This is the world population. Okay. Now, if you're taking 1987, in 1987, the population was around 5 billion. Okay. In 1960, the population of was around 4 billion. 1930, population was around 2 billion. World population I'm talking about. Okay. In the start of this century, 1900s, okay, the population was around, world population was around 1.3 billion. So whatever population India is having, like, a decade ago, okay, is the same population which the world had in the beginning of this century. Now, if you look at the entire population in the world, okay, the most of the population growth we had in this recent century, 20th century. Now, before this, the population was very less, extremely low. Only after industrial revolution, the population started increasing. So this demographic transition model talks about something of that sort. Okay, how we have moved from, like, high birth rate to high death rate to again low birth rate to low death rate. So this model talks about that. Okay, so this demographic transition model talks about 4 different stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. Okay. Now, stage 1 is associated with earlier agricultural societies. Okay, agricultural societies and the tribal societies. So in the earlier agricultural and tribal societies, now, did you have any surety of food? Okay, no. If you're taking tribal societies, okay, is there any guarantee that you will live up to 80 years? No. If there was some kind of a tribal war or ethnic conflict, the population will perish. It will be wiped out completely. At that time, there were a lot of wars also between various tribes. And because of these wars, people used to die. Okay. And any kind of epidemic comes, for example, COVID has come. Do you think without paracetamol, okay, without these medicines, do you think the population could have survived? No. Okay. So earlier, any kind of epidemic or pandemic used to come, the population used to be wiped out. Okay. And because of hunger, you take the case of India. What happened in 1943 because of famine? Like, 5 million people died in what? Bengal itself. So earlier, because of the famines also, people used to die. So at that time, we did not have any food security. There were wars, okay, and there were conflicts. So because of all these reasons, okay, the death rate was highly fluctuating. Okay, and the birth rate was also highly fluctuating. You used to have very high birth rate also. Now, death rate too have understood. Okay, but why do you have high birth rate during that time? Okay, that is right. See, probability of death is very high. See, you must have heard that your grandparents. Okay, how many siblings they had? Your parents, 13, 14, like that. Okay, but whenever you ask them, what they used to tell? Actually, we were 18 earlier or 14 earlier. Now we are 7, 8, like that. So the IMR was also very high. Infant mortality rate is also very high. So in order to secure an insurance, the parents used to produce more children in advance because they know that some of them will not be surviving at all. And at that time, do you think the parents had any obligation of providing any good education, health, or food for the children? They did not have any obligation. That's why the cost of raising a child was not very high. It was low. And moreover, now, the children also used to contribute the parents in work, household work. Okay, if more number of children are born, means more number of labor you have. They can work in your fields. They can also work in a factory. They'll be earning more wages to you, and they'll be supporting the family more. Okay, and children's were like an asset. And moreover, now parents also used to produce more children because, in their old age, okay, who will look after them? So that's why also the children or the parents used to produce more children. So that was in the primitive society, which is also called as agricultural society or tribal society. Okay. Now, gradually what has come, okay, we are talking about European experience. Everything here we are talking about is the European experience. So any kind of theory which is coming from, okay, Europe or certain part of the world, okay, and a theory is derived out of it. It is also called as ethnocentric approach. Means it is specific to some ethnicity. That's what it is called as ethnocentric approach. And whenever you have this ethnocentric approach, it may or may not be completely applicable to your country or any part of the society. Okay. Since it has specifically come from Europe, it's also called as Eurocentric approach. Okay. Now, we are talking about European experience. Now, what happened, okay, in 1800s in Europe? What has started? Industrial revolution has started. So when the industrial revolution has started, now the people started producing more food because a form of green revolution has come into this area in Europe. They started producing more food. Now there is a surety of food. Okay. And the income levels of the people are also increasing because they started going to the factories. Now, income from agriculture is not that certain, but income from the industries is certain. So they have a surety of income. When they have surety of income, you have the surety of feeding also. Now, during this time, what will happen to the death rate? Death rate will drop because people will not die of hunger. People will not die because of famines. Okay. And when you have an industrial revolution, okay, you will be having industries. Now, this is also part of the capitalism. So when you're a capitalist, okay, you want that the society should be stable. It's not like you set up a factory, next day people are saying that, no, we have a war with, other ethnic tribe, we are going bye-bye. You can't say this, right? So you want certainty. Okay. For the certainty of situations now, okay, they're also indirectly responsible for the creation of nation states. That is when this concept of nation states has come into picture after industrial revolution in Europe. That is when, European, this, French nationalism, German nationalism, English nationalism, all these things have come. Okay. And you need rules and regulations also, right? Okay, then who will, okay, impose all these rules and regulations? Bureaucracy. That is when the bureaucracy was also created. The bureaucracy is a byproduct of capitalism, right? So you'll be having a stable state now. A state has been established, a nation state has been established based on the nationality in Europe. So when you'll be having stability, okay, you'll not be having much wars here, the people will die less, your surety of income. So that's why you'll not be having any kind of hunger problem. Okay, the famine will also be not there because you are producing more food because of the agricultural revolution, a kind of green revolution. Therefore, what will happen to death rate? Death rate will decrease. Now, what will happen to the birth rate? Birth rate will be still high, but it will not fluctuate. Why it will not fluctuate? Because famines are less now. Okay, the diseases are less comparatively. That's why it will be stable. Okay. Now comes the third stage. Now the people have, little bit come out of industrial revolution. Now the urbanization is increasing here. Urbanization. When the urbanization increases, okay, the divides will also fade. Like for example, okay, as long as the society is rural in nature, you'll be having all the kinds of discrimination, including gender discrimination is more. But when a society is transitioning from rural to urban, okay, like, caste divide will also fade because in urban areas, you really don't know who belongs to which caste. Okay. Then the restrictions against the women will also reduce. Okay. Now, in order to survive in the urban areas, okay, do you think a single person working can support the family? No, you want both the spouses to be working. You want both the man and woman to work. So earlier, okay, in the rural societies or like pre-industrial societies, the role of the woman was just restricted, okay, as a machine who produces women. Okay, she was just seen as a machine which produces children. But now the importance of the woman is increasing. Why? The reason is she can also contribute to family income. Okay. Now, when the woman, okay, woman's potential is realized. Okay, she is now looked beyond, a machine which produces children. Then women education will increase. When women education increases, do you think she'll be marrying early? She'll marry late. When she'll be marrying late, what will happen to reproductive lifespan? It reduces. Okay. Earlier they used to get married at the age of 14. So since from 14 years till 49 years, she'll produce children. So reproductive lifespan was very high. But now she'll be marrying late. The reproductive lifespan will be reduced. Now, she does not just have to raise children at home, but also she has to work. Will she have enough time for children? No. That's why what happens? She'll produce less children. And when the woman is getting employed, okay, then her financial independence will also increase. Okay, when financial independence increases, she'll also become decision maker. Now she will decide whether she wants children, okay, or she doesn't want children, or how many children she wants and when she wants children. All this she will determine, because ultimately she has to bear the burden of carrying the child in the womb, giving birth, rearing them also, and upbringing them. Now she will decide. And secondly, earlier the parents did not have any obligation of providing good education and health. Now, if a child is born, okay, you have to give good education, clothing, good food, all these sorts of things. Do you think it will cost less? It will cost more. Earlier, children were contributing in the family. They go out for work, bring wages, and give money to mummy, papa. But now, even though, okay, not even children, even though they become 30, they are not earning, especially UPSC aspirants, right? So, earlier they were contributing, now they are not contributing at all to the family income, right? Now, do you think the parents will be incentivized to produce more children? No. And moreover, okay, as a society is transitioning, I'm using the word transitioning because this is demographic transition theory. As a society is transitioning, okay, do you think the progressive loss will come? Okay, progressive loss will come. The society transitions, okay. So earlier, 1923, we had Official Secret Act, right? Again in 2005, what has come? Right to Information Act. Because the citizens are the ultimate masters. So states should not be having any secrets. Okay, so everything should be open. And the information should be belonging to the citizens. As in when the citizens demand for the information, we should provide them. Right? So this is a sign of a progressive society. What a regressive society will do? They'll again bring one more clause and bring amendment to RTI. Are you reading newspapers? The government of India is about to come up with a bill which will restrict the information which is given to a citizen. We should put a ban, okay, on some of the information which is given to citizens according to RTI. So as in when the society is progressing, okay, new laws will come, progressive laws will come, which has banned the child labor. The parents will not be sending their children to go work. So that is also the reason why now they're producing less children. Okay. Now, what will happen to the birth rate now? Birth rate will also start decreasing. Now, what will happen to death rate? Now, death rate will not fall much, right? Death rate will be stabilized. Okay. Now comes the fourth stage. Fourth stage of demographic transition. The birth rate has already fallen, right? Now the birth rate will also stabilize. It can't fall below. It will be reaching the replacement level. And death rate has already fallen, right? So this is how this society is transitioning from high death rate, high birth rate to low birth rate and low death rate. So this is the demographic transition theory in short. So this theory was first given by Thomson, and later it was developed by Notestein. So these two are the prominent thinkers of this theory. Okay. Anyways, you don't have to write. Okay, I will dictate you what has to be written in examination. Okay. Anyways, if you keep writing them when I'm telling something, then also it will improve your concentration. Okay. Now note down. I'll come to that. So through these theories, now you'll be studying a lot about society also. So geography is not just about, okay, what the physical features. When you study human geography, you'll understand that, it's much more. It's beyond all this. Right on? The DTT, anyways, see, what you can do is that, you don't have to write demographic transition theory every time. So once you have elaborated it, you can make the acronym DTT. The DTT is a generalized description, of changing pattern of mortality, fertility, and the growth rates, as the societies move from one demographic regime to another. The theory is based on the interpretation of the demographic history developed in 1929 by American demographer Warren Thompson. And in 1940s and 50s, Notestein developed a more formal theory. Next. See, whenever you're doing a study now, okay, if your study is based on certain facts and figures, if your study is based on certain data, it is called as empirical theory. Okay, madam. It is an empirical theory. It's an empirical theory. Also based on deductive analysis. Also based on deductive analysis. Now let's see what is this word deductive and inductive. All these things will be coming in your geographical thought. So that is the perspectives in human geography. So once you know all these terms now, studying things there will become very easy. There are two types of studies. One is called as deductive. Other one is called as inductive. Okay. Since this is generic to specific, and this is specific to generic. So let's see how this theory works. Now, you're saying that all the planets are spherical. All planets are spherical. On what basis you're saying that the planets are spherical? What's the basis? Basis is you've seen Earth and you've seen other 8 planets, other 7 planets which are in the solar system. On that basis, you're saying that all the planets are spherical. Okay. So you're making a generic statement and then you're applying it to the specifics. For example, Newton's laws are also there. Okay. Okay. What is the Newton's law? F is equal to ma, for example. Okay. You must have seen 2 bodies. Okay. You're applying a force on that body, and the force is mass into acceleration. But is F is equal to ma? Okay. Is it applicable to a neutron and a neutron? Is applicable to proton and a neutron? No. For example, you're taking electron and electron. What is the force between two electrons? The force of repulsion. Right. Okay. Do you think the same is applicable between them? No, it's not applicable. Okay. So Newton has observed all these objects at a macro scale. And then he has come up with a generalization. He did not get into nanoscale or micro scale, where the laws are different. So that's why the physics also is divided into 2 types: Newtonian physics and quantum physics. So the micro level things are working entirely differently. The nano level, they're again different. Okay. So this is called as deductive analysis. This is inductive analysis. Now, if you have to come up with a theory, now if you want to make a statement that all the planets are spherical in nature, then what you should have done? You should have gone to all the star systems in the universe. You should have checked all the planets. You should have checked whether they are spherical or not, and then you'll be giving a conclusion. This is called as inductive approach. But what is the problem with inductive approach? Why? It's not possible. Because human capacity is not unlimited. You have limited human capacity, right? Okay. That's why you'll be going for a lot of generalizations. Okay. Like, for example, the people from certain part of the India are like that. Or people from certain community are like that. You're going for a gross generalization. So that is a deductive analysis. Okay. Have you actually, for example, you're making generally making these TV channels make a statement that all Pakistanis are terrorists. Did you go and check whether either Pakistan has a gun? Okay, you didn't, right? You must have seen one Pakistani holding a gun on a television and shouting something and you are generalized to the entire community or entire country, right? This is called as deductive analysis. Okay. Inductive, what you'll be doing? You'll be studying all the specific cases and then you'll be making a generalized statement. But here, you do not have an infinite capacity. That's why, okay. Now, here a question can be framed. Write down a question. The academic studies or theories should be, okay, the academics or studies or theories should be inductively deductive and deductively inductive. No, why so? See, if you're just going for inductive studies, you're saying that no, I will not give a theory until and unless I've studied everything. Do you think the study will ever complete? No. But you were saying that since that is not possible at all, I'll just go and study one model, and based on that model, I'll give in generalization. Do you think your study will be accurate? No. That's why study should be both. Okay. Then only you'll be drawing a golden mean, and from that you'll be able to draw some conclusion. You'll be able to make a theory. Okay. So that is the meaning of this. How it is deductive, by the way? Okay, we'll think over it. Let's see how this theory is applicable to periodic table. Yeah. Achha. Okay. So this theory is based on European experiences. What these people have done, okay, whether it is Western society basically, okay. So whether it be Notestein or Thompson, what they have seen the demography of a European society, and then they had the facts and figures. Okay. Now, by the way, from where they must have got these facts and figures? Do you think all the European societies had some kind of a census conducted during those times? No. But the churches had a record. Because if you belong to church, okay, you have to baptize the kid who is born. The churches had all these records. But because of these religious institutions called churches, they had some kind of empirical basis. That is, some kind of a data they had. Understand? Okay. This is a temporal theory. This is a temporal theory. Temporal means based on time. That is how population changes with time. How population changes with time. Therefore, it is an empirical. Therefore, it is an empirical deductive generalization. Empirical deductive generalization. See, you'll be getting marks in geography optional only for writing such kind of keywords and technical jargons. When you're writing an answer in geography optional, only the geography optional student should be able to understand. If you're showing it to others, okay, they should think, what can be the meaning of this word. Like that, you should write. More and more jargons, more of the marks. Nice point. The theory generalizes. The theory generalizes European history, and offers to explain the population changes. The population changes in all parts of the world. In all parts of the world. Based on the study conducted in Europe. Based on the study conducted in Europe. Therefore, it is empirical. Therefore, it is empirical. Next point. It explains the population growth. It explains the population growth in terms of high birth rate and high death rate. 2, low death rate and low birth rate. This theory ignores the role of migration. Because at that time, the migration was not much. And moreover, now, if you're considering migration, then the theory will become more complicated. You won't be able to give a simplistic theory. Now, okay, if you've seen your preamble, okay, then there's a word which is mentioned in the preamble, that is socio-economic and political development, right? Or equality. Socio-economic and political equality. This word is mentioned here. See, why this word has been specifically mentioned is that, see, what do you mean by political freedom or the political right? How do you quantify the political right? Okay. Basically, it's power to vote. In very simplistic terms, power to vote or power to represent yourself or power to stand in the elections. So this is the political right. This is how you can exercise political right. Now, what the political rights, okay, or the voting rights, okay, given to women, okay, in the first instance in the European society? No, they were given much later. Now, what was the logic behind that is that, okay, for example, you're poor, okay. Now, when you're poor, okay, then, okay, for example, take a village. Okay, there is a, see, in India, caste and class both coincide with each other. Okay. And people from the powerful community, they stand in the elections, okay, and they will win, obviously, right? So they will do whatever they want to win. Now, if there is a community, okay, which is not that powerful, which is comparatively poor, then the rich community can go and stop them, okay, for voting in elections. This happens in India today also. Okay, the entire community, okay, is not allowed to vote in the elections. So until and unless you're not economically powerful, you can't exercise your political rights. This was specifically applicable to women at that time. If you're not economically empowered, you can't exercise your political right. And where from this economic empowerment comes? Say, for example, economic empowerment comes from employment. The women are getting employed, they're working, okay, then Okay, they become economically independent or financially independent. And they become economically independent. Okay, they need education also. Okay, you'll be providing education to a girl child only when you're treating them with. So that is where the social right will come. Okay, so all these social inequalities in terms of gender, caste, etc. When these things are removed, okay, when a Dalit becomes equal to a Brahmin, then they will get education. That is a social equality. Okay, with education, they'll get employment. Then comes the economic equality. When you have the economic equality, then you can stand in elections, or you can go and vote without any fear. That is the political equality. That's why these words are written in this order. Our constitutional makers, when they were doing discussion in the constitution, okay, while framing the constitution, there was a discussion regarding this. So what we should do? Okay, should we first let the society become socially equal? Then afterwards, when the society, when these inequalities are removed, then we should be giving them economic rights. When everyone, okay, when there is no poverty, when there is economic equality, can it be achieved? Then we'll be giving them political rights, that is right to vote. There was a discussion. Because in the European societies, the same thing has happened. Then, okay, B.R. Ambedkar was there. He said that these, forget about this, even this will not be achieved ever. Even today, this is not achieved. He said that, no, this is not possible. Okay, if you're waiting for that time period, okay, even if it takes thousands of years, that will never be achieved. I said all these rights, socio-economic, political rights should be given now only. So one will catch up with other. Okay, say if you are politically empowered, then you're also social. So Dalit becomes a sarpanch of a village. Obviously, don't you think the social prestige will increase? The social equality will also come. When the social equality comes, then you'll also explore for economic opportunities. The economic equality will also come. So that is when this word socio-economic and political development, that is where this word has been included in the constitution. Understood? Okay. So geography is not just studying mountains, plateaus. Most of the people have this misconception. If we are studying polity or all these things also, because this is there in the theory. Now, this theory assumes that this order will follow. Okay. So this theory says that, okay, once you're getting, economically empowered, then you're getting socially empowered. Then also you're getting politically empowered. So let's remove this word political here. So this theory talks about these two now. Economic development and social development. That means once you are economically empowered, then you'll be socially empowered also. So that is when your demographic indicators will also improve. Let's apply this to women. Right? Now, after the Industrial Revolution, let's go back to this year now. After the Industrial Revolution, the money has increased. Okay. So when the economic development happens, okay, the girl child will get educated. And the girl child will get educated. She'll marry late. And when she's educated, she'll also, search for employment. She'll become financially independent also. When all these things are high, then her reproductive lifespan will also decrease. She'll become a decision maker. Ultimately, what will happen to the birth rate? Decrease. And when you're economically empowered, you'll also have food to eat. So therefore, death rate will also decrease. So this theory assumes that, okay, whatever is happening in the demographic transition theory, it's all the byproduct of economic and social development. It believes that. So this may be true for European society. But if we take the society like India, or if we take the socialistic societies, for example, take Russia, we take India. So here, the fall in the death rate is not just because of economic and social development. It is because of the active intervention of the state. State has intervened in terms of building the hospitals, okay, providing medicines. Okay, at the time of an epidemic or a pandemic, they used to come up with drugs. Because of that, the death rate has decreased. But in European society, the European society firmly believed in laissez-faireism. What is laissez-faireism? Free hand of the market. It does not believe in any visible hand. That is, does not believe in any active intervention of the state. Okay, everything is left on its own. So when you're leaving everything to the market, okay, only when you are economically empowered, then only you're getting surety of income. Okay, you'll be getting enough food in the house. You'll be able to afford medicine. You'll be able to afford education. So then only your demographic attributes will change. Okay. Now, if you're not, able to compete in the market, if you're not getting any employment, then other factors will also not change. Okay. So this theory is based on European experience, and this theory strongly believes that, okay, one will follow another. So in these aspects, this theory is not completely applicable to India. Okay. So each and every word has got a deeper meaning in it. If you know such kind of things now, you can write beautiful essays also. Right? You must have studied, you must have completed entire polity, but you must not have known why these things are written in certain order. Yes or no? I don't. This theory also assumes that the change in the demographic attributes, the change in the demographic attributes are a consequence of natural, logical, social development, natural, logical, social development in a social region. Social region is nothing but society. In a social region. That is, DTT operates on socio-economic developmental factors. Socio-economic developmental factors. Next point. The theory traces the changes in the demographic profile. The changes in the demographic profile across 4 stages. In bracket, you can write 5th and 6th stage were added later. 5th and 6th stage are added later. Now let's draw the graph here. So this is the timeline. And this is the birth rate and death rate. So in the stage 1, that is in a tribal society or pre-industrial society, you had a fluctuating death rate and you had a fluctuating birth rate. So birth rate is slightly higher than the death rate. So that is also the reason why you had very low population. Then afterwards, what will happen? The death rate will keep falling. Why it will fall? It will fall because of the availability of food, reduction of famines, reduction of war. And birth rate will be still high, but it will not fluctuate further. So this becomes stage 2. So this is stage 1. This is stage 2. Then death rate has already fallen, it will not fall further. It will get stabilized. Now comes the third stage. The third stage, the birth rate will keep on falling because of the rise of the status of the woman in the society. Okay, that is women empowerment, reduction of the reproductive lifespan, cost of raising the children is very high. Children have to be given education. You'll not be looking at children as child labor anymore. They're not contributing the income. Rather, they have become a liability now. Okay, you have to feed them, give them good education, give them good life. That's why it is fallen. And also because of the nuclearization of the families. Now you're gradually transitioning to the urban society. So when you're in a rural society, okay, you can give birth to the children and the home, you'll be having, okay, what, dada, dadi, okay, you'll be having siblings, you'll be having a lot of people in a joint family system. You just have to give birth, someone or the other will be looking after them. But when you're transitioning into an urban society, who has to look after them? Parents themselves have to look after them. So they'll not be having much time. So all these are the reasons why the birth rate will decrease. Now what will happen to birth rate account? It will stabilize. It will not fall further. And the death rate will also get stabilized. So this becomes the stage 4. So this is the original demographic transition model. Original. Later on, stage 5 and stage 6 have been added. We'll see what is this stage 5 and stage 6. Right. So this is extra to the original model. What will happen here? Now birth rate will again fall here. Why it will be falling? Because of the aging population. See, earlier you haven't given birth to much children. So as the time progresses, you'll not be having reproductive population and aging population will increase. But because of good medicines, okay, because of good health infrastructure, your death rate will almost be stabilized or it will fall a little bit, but not much. But birth rate will drastically fall. Now, here in stage 5, what we'll have? Stage 5 will have negative population growth rate. Okay, this is true for the societies like Japan, Germany, Italy. You have negative growth rate of population. Now, after this, what will happen? The death rate will not change much. It will be stable. Now, what the governments will be doing? They will encourage the population to produce more children. These are called as pro-natal policies. Whereby the government will be encouraging the citizens to produce more children. This is what Japan is doing right now. It's coming up with pro-natal policies. If you're marrying and having kids, then certain incentives will be provided by the government. That is where the population might increase a little bit. See, we haven't witnessed this yet. And this has been witnessed only for some societies. So we can't give any conclusions. And all these are based on history. We have a good history of all this. That's why we can make some solid comments on this. We can't still comment on this. But many demographers are of the opinion that, okay, how many ever policies you may introduce, okay, the population will not increase. Because giving birth, okay, to a child, or producing children, okay, is a social decision. Whatever government policies you may come up with, the population will not produce children. So this has been witnessed with one child policy or family planning programs which happened in India. They had compulsory sterilization programs. Okay, during which time? During the emergency time. That is the time during which India had highest growth rate. Lalu Prasad Yadav, he has given birth to 11 children. So whenever new government policy used to come, he used to produce a new child and name the child after the government policy which has been released. Like that. So any kind of restrictions on the behalf of the government will not work in terms of population. It's a decision made by the family. Okay, it's a social obligation. Okay, not anything else. So this theory may not work. So even though, okay, this Japan is coming up with all sorts of incentives, see after 20 years, 30 years, you'll not see much, growth of population in Japan. Now let's discuss about all these theories, all these stages.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in which phase is India now currently?
Okay, so we will apply this theory to India later on. See, India is somewhere here at the end of 3 and we are entering into 4. Since, recent population census has not come. Okay, but National Family Health Survey data. From that, I can make a conclusion that we are just entered the 4th stage. Okay. If
So
you're going
the census should be made at every 10 years, too, sir. Is it compulsory that every 10 years the census should be made, or the government can delay it?
See, it's a rule that every 10 years it should be made according to National Population Register. But okay, we had COVID. Okay, that's the reason why they're not making it. But again, COVID is over, right? Life has become normal. Okay, and census is not very big exercise. Okay, all over the country, dedicate 1 day for census, it will be done. Why I'm saying that in 1 day it can be done is that, okay, when the new state of Telangana state has been formed, okay, there was a Samagra survey. There is a total state survey. 1 day was given holiday, and the entire data was derived from the citizen. Okay, including how many vehicles you have, how many cars you have, how much land you have, etc. All sort of data is with the government. Now, if there is a will, there is a way. You can do it. See, until and unless you don't have a recent census data, how can you frame policies? For example, you're releasing money for Narega. You're releasing money for your National Food Security Act. How do you know how many people are poor? How much percentage of money should be allotted? How do you know all these things? You can't just rely on NSSO data. And recently, if you're reading the newspapers, there have been a lot of accusations against the NSSO data. They're saying that its sample survey data is not accurate. Okay, it is changed. Okay, according to the what subjective interpretation of the enumerator or the policymakers. If you're reading newspaper recently in Hindu, okay, a big editorial has come regarding this. Okay. Got it, Salman?
Yes, sir. There are so many sub questions I want to ask you, but it's okay, sir.
Okay, can ask.
Sir, even by not doing the survey, that like the previous BJP government in Karnataka had abolished our this thing, the minority status of Muslims, and they had given to Okkaligas and other caste. I forgot which caste. So, without doing a proper census, doing this, is it right, sir? And maybe the government is purposefully not doing it because of their hidden objectives or something like that. Last previous survey was done maybe on 2011, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. In 2011, but again in 2015 also, a socio-economic caste census data has been conducted, but no, that report has not come into the public domain. And all the political parties except BJP are demanding such data to be released in public domain.
Sir,
Maybe
can we not file an RTI on that, sir?
now, government is coming up with one more bill where you can't get RTA. Right? In normal situations also, they will be, imposing Official Secrets Act 1923. Right? Now they are getting one more bill, and whatever data which was available to citizens, even that will not be released. Okay. Earlier it was a right. Okay, now it has become the mercy of the government.
Then this may be not a part of democracy, no, sir. Then.
Yeah, but what we can do? We are in such a system. Can't do anything about it. To whom will complain? Right?
So if the UPSC asks such questions, then we can't obviously support government and write the answers to, sir.
See, in my,
and
GS
even if you know, sir, even you know that, sir, if we don't support the government and write the answers, we won't get marks.
See, it's not like that. Always, answer to the demand of the question. Okay, if you're already my the GS question, whatever is happening, like currently, I talk a lot about those things, and sometimes, it may sound overtly political. Okay, when you're, listening to my classes, but whenever I make you write the notes, it's all very objective. Okay, so whatever I'm making you write, okay, those can be presented in your answer, and whatever is the demand of the question, okay, you please try to address the demand. And moreover, if you look at the question paper of the UPSC, okay, with GS or optional, the more number of questions are critical in nature. Okay, I'll show you the question paper also. The more critical in nature. If you're taking, political science paper, political science itself is the criticism of the state, then UPSC should be removing that optional then. See, if you think that there are no problems at all, if everything is good, then what is the need of civil servants then? Is there any need? No, right? So you're becoming a civil servant to solve some kind of a problem or to improvise the functioning. The geography is a paper 2. See how many questions are critical in nature. So they have a negative connotation. First question. Why has extreme particulate pollution remains as a pressuring issue in the Delhi NCR region? Talking about pollution problem, positive or negative? So can you say that no, okay, there is no pollution in Delhi at all. It's very good. Modi is doing very good. Okay, best prime minister in the entire world, entire solar system, entire Milky Way. Okay. Okay, this is a factual question. Physiography and diversity. The process of desertification leads to soil desiccation and soil loss. We are discussing problem here. Next, critically examine. The question itself is critically examined. The peninsular location of India provides, this is, objective question. Next, groundwater contamination is fast expanding into urban landscape. Again, we are discussing problem. Discuss the recent changes brought about in the institutional framework for agriculture in India. Evaluates its impact on the agrarian economy. Now, if you're talking about changes here, there can be positive changes, there can be negative changes. But if you're weighing both positive and negative, what will be more here? You have to see the situation of the farmer, farm distress, farm suicides. You have to objectively analyze it. Okay, you had a lot of farmer movements also, farm protests also you had. Disputes of water sharing between riparian states of Northwest India. Talking about disputes. Soils in India, clear reflection of stage process. Okay, this is different. I guess, few days ago we have discussed this, right? Who? You. Structure and process. India is bestowed with rich mineral resources due to its geological structure. Here we should be talking about shield regions. Now, correlate the above statement with large mineral belts of India. Basically, it is talking about the resource curse. You have the resources. Now you have to talk about mineral belts. Obviously, you'll be saying that certain region has certain minerals. But what about humans in that area? Are they rich? Okay. Right. Resource curse, the relation of these resources with the humans in that region. Again, negative connotation. Okay. Discuss the importance of dryland farming in the drought-prone regions of India. Dryland farming is all about what? Pulses, millets, oil seeds, right? Animal husbandry. We discussed this in red soil recently. Extreme rainfall, flash floods, devastating consequences. Again, negative or positive? Can you say that, the positive effects of, flash floods? Can you write like that? So if you address the demand of the question, you don't have to think at all whether it is pro-government or. That's it. Okay. This is section B. Discuss the impact of Forest Act 2006 on local forest communities in India. Whatever positives, negatives, you have to discuss impacts. Can a Panchayat Raj institution play a role in grassroots level planning in India? If you're talking about the plight or state of the Panchayat Raj institutions in India, we'll be talking more positives or more negatives. Look at the devolution index. Something called as devolution index. How many powers have been given to the Panchayati Raj institution? Talk about 73rd, 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. What is supposed to be given to them? What they have got? What is their condition? Again, it is pure polity question, but geographer again will discuss all this. We're discussing this also. Okay, trade and okay. How would decline the TFR below the replacement level in many states of India affect the future population structure? Is exactly what you were just discussing. Kalapani dispute, okay, India-Nepal border issues again. Disparities in development income between regions. Negative or positive? The UPSC itself is talking about negative thing. It's agreeing that there are disparities in development and income. Next again, critically examine the role of high population concentration in Indian slums. Okay, slums, positive or negative? Is it because of choice or is it because of obligation? Right. This is again objective. Emergence of linguistic regions and states in India, like you're demanding for a separate state based on it. At that time, it was considered as a problem. No, why? In which context, they have asked this? Because Now there is a demand for second SRC, second State Reorganization Commission. On what basis it should be constituted? What other parameters we should be looking into? If at all you want to carve out a separate state, because there are separate statehood demands in India. Again, look at the connotation. It's talking about division, further division, further statehood, right? Urban sprawl. Okay, this is technical little bit. Agroclimatic land capability, you may not understand now. So little bit you might be understanding. Agriculture according to a climate. According to land capacity, you should be having agriculture, something of that sort. Quad, your IR is coming here. Again, National Food Security Act. See, does it look like a geography paper from any angle? You will learn all. In fact, now, like, for the first, for like 1 or 2 months when you'll be studying geography optional, na, okay, you'll never feel that you're studying geography, so-called the geography which you have in your brain. Okay. But till now only we have discussed so many things which are part of society, which are part of your polity here and there. So finally at the end, okay, when you study and finish the entire optional, na, you'll gain knowledge in all the subjects. So your subjective interpretation of the things in other subjects will also improve a lot. Your quality of answer writing in other subjects will also improve a lot. In fact, you guys will be writing best of the essays. You just have to pick up various points from various topics of geography optional. You're writing very good essays. Understood? Salman?
Sir, understood, sir.
Yeah. Don't have to worry, just answer the demand of the question, whatever is being asked.
हेलो सर
Yes.
सर आपने अभी रिसेंटली बताया कि प्रो नेटल पॉलिसी सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो पाती नॉर्मली
Yeah.
सर लेकिन चाइना में वन चाइल्ड पॉलिसी सक्सेसफुल होती हुई देखी गई व्हाट इज द रीजन बिहाइंड कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी है
Okay. So he's saying that no, if any kind of restriction is being imposed by any government, I said that this policy will not work successfully, right? So China has come up with this policy in 1970, one child policies. It was very strict on in imposing this, but how many years it took for China to come from first position to second position? 80s, 90s, till very recently. Means it took it 42 years. Okay, to come from first position to second. Recently, India has crossed China. So can you say that even now, okay, after 52 years of the application of the policy, can you still say that China's population is small? All right. So it will not work that immediately. Even though you are imposing, okay, stopping the birth is very difficult, very easy thing. Okay, comparatively. Okay, but if you are encouraging the couples to produce children, will they? All right. It is even more difficult task. Okay. Understood?
यस सर थैंक यू
What have you written? You're drawn, just drawn, right? Okay, write down. In between, please asking questions so that it will become more interactive. We don't have many students like 300-400 in the class, so you can discuss with you whatever or the misconceptions or anything you have, you can add. Okay, ask. The society begins with high birth rate and high death rate. In bracket you can write around 40. And it terminates into a stage. Of low birth rate and low death rate, which is a natural linear transition. Natural linear transition. DTT always parallels DTT always parallels the socio-economic development. Such as gender rights. First should be gender rights. Educational development. Per capita income. Awareness of health. Food security, etc. And in the European societies, the social development is not part of planned governmental intervention. It's not part of planned governmental intervention. It is a consequence of economic prosperity, witnessed in Europe, post-industrial development. Europe, post-industrial development. Now let's talk about the various stages. Stage 1, first stage. In a pre-industrial society, both are high, and fluctuating rapidly due to natural events such as drought, disease, disaster, etc. The birth rates were high.
ಹಲೋ
Yes.
ಬಂದ್ರ ಅವೇಣವ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನು ಬಂದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Salman, you're audible in the class also.
Yes, sir. Sorry. I just got a call. Sorry.
Okay, whenever you want to talk now, you can mute. Okay.
No. I forgot to. I mute, sir. Sorry.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay. The birth rates are also high because the children contributed to family income. And raising cost of the child is near negligible. Raising cost of a child is near negligible. Bracketing and right? No education, no entertainment, nothing. Nowadays you see the kids, huh? And you can compare, the way in which you guys were raised, the way in which nowadays kids are being raised. They demand anything, parents will just back. Okay. When you guys have demanded, parents used to just slap you and ask you to keep quiet, right? But now you can't do that. Next, change the para. During this stage, the society was following. Society was following. See, you write this word now. Later on, we'll discuss this theory. This is there in your syllabus. Malthusian theory. The society was following Malthusian paradigm. Malthusian paradigm. The overall population was young. Overall population was young. And the average age was around 29 years. No, not average age, wait. Okay. The life expectancy, not average. The life expectancy was around 29 years. That is, with any kind of fluctuation, like a drought, famine, war, etc., the population needs to perish. This stage can be comparable to those of the animals living in wild. Animals living in wild. So this is stage 1. Now we'll be drawing demographic pyramid. In demographic pyramid, in the y-axis, you have the age, this 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40, 50, 60, 70, and so on. Okay. On one side, you'll be having men, and on the other side, you'll be having women. Okay. The birth rate was very high, so is the death rate, but it will taper very fast. It will be tapering very fast. The life expectancy is also not very high. Okay. So when it comes to the women, so please, make sure that, okay, at the time of the birth, okay, since all the societies, are a little bit patriarchal in nature, so it will not be as broad as it is for male. It will be comparatively lower, narrower. Okay. But when it comes to the old age, the women will be more. Because the life expectancy of the women is more than that of men. Okay, make sure that this is broader on the women's side and this is lower. Okay, you must have observed in your family also. You compare your dada dadi. Who went first? Dadi. Okay, separate. Late. Okay. Nana nani. Who went first? You don't seriously. Okay. A woman tend to live longer. There are 2 reasons. Okay. The first reason being, okay. The most of the social evils such as alcoholism, any kind of bad habit, they're more in men as compared to women. That's the first reason. Second reason is more biological. That is, if you take the chromosomal aberrations, okay, you take XX chromosome. Okay, and you take the XY chromosome. Y is comparatively smaller. Therefore, the compatibility between X and Y is comparatively less than the compatibility between X and X. And in any kinds of disease attacks, okay, the X will be able to shield the other X chromosome effectively. But here, Y won't be able to shield the X. It will not be causing much of hindrance. If you're from biology background, you'll be understanding these words. So that's why here, life expectancy is comparatively low. Here it is high. And given a chance, if you're not discriminating between male and female at birth, there should be more born. Female will be more born than as compared to men. Okay. That's why if you see the societies where there is no gender discrimination, you'll be having for 1,000 population, you'll be having, take a sample, and you'll be having 1,200. Okay, girl child as compared to 1,000 male child. You have a healthy sex ratio. But in a society where discrimination is there, for example, take India, we take the CSR, no child sex ratio. According to last census, it is 914. If you're taking the societies like Haryana, okay, and the Kashmir Valley, where the gender discrimination is very high, it is around like 830, 820. So the child sex ratio is the true indicator of the gender discrimination in the society. Understand this? Online people?
Yes, sir.
Draw
Sir,
this.
and even men have more heart attacks, sir. Myocardial infarction.
Yes, Punit Rajkumar's sister did not die, he died.
Yeah, how, sir? Why, sir?
That I don't know. That I don't.
No, like why only we have heart attack more than women?
I seriously don't know that. See, maybe the social evils, such as like smoking, drinking, they're more attributed to men as compared to women. It should be one reason.
Though people don't drink and smoke, even they die due to heart attack.
Yeah, I don't know the exact reason why.
And another reason might be men drive a lot, so
Men?
accidents, due to accidents also men die.
Accidents, yes. If you are having KTM or Duke, then you will definitely die. Yes. This is a proven data that 40% of the KTM Duke drivers owners are not alive today.
Sir, so I sold my bike, sir, 390.
So next is stage 2. Stage 2. This stage leads to fall in the death rate, and increase in population. Increase in population. In Europe, they are attributed to. In Europe, they are attributed to the agricultural revolution. Agricultural revolution, which has reduced the death rate. Due to starvation or lack of water. Change the para. Secondly, significant improvements were also made in public health. Which reduced the mortality. Particularly in childhood. particularly in childhood. Therefore, due to the increase in the gap between the birth rate and death rate, the population growth is more. Population growth is more. Next, change the para. In this stage of demographic transition, the age structure is much younger. It is youthful. Structure is much younger and youthful, which also has driven the industrial revolution. Now let's draw the population pyramid. I'm drawing till 90 here because more and more people will be surviving, will not be dying that easily. The mortality is not that high. Draw a smooth curve here, okay? And on the side of the women now, it should be a little bit larger in the old age. But it should be tapering. In the young age, it is not as broad as men because of gender discrimination. So it will be like, typical pyramid. But some people will still survive, right? You may not be having this much population, but some people still survive till 90 plus. Not everyone will die, What is my life expectancy? 68 means die. If somebody is not dying, we'll go take them to gas chamber and, kill them. And next, stage 3. So if you're doing this in detail now, then making you, write these things exclusively because questions are asked in paper 2 also, and questions are very indirect in nature. They will not be asking you population theories directly. You have to take a lot of inferences. There's a lot of application which is oriented. So that's why understand these things in depth and detail. Then you'll write very good answers. And I bet you can check your notes, you can compare your notes with anywhere in India. You'll not be having this enriched notes. And for my GS students, I don't have to tell you. You must have already compared with anywhere in India. Okay, the content which I do is much more enriched. Okay, you don't have to look anything beyond that. Stage 3. The death rate has already fallen. The death rate has already fallen. And the birth rate is falling. The birth rate is falling. The birth rate is falling because A, as the IMR decreases, as the IMR is infant mortality rate, as decreases, the parents can become increasingly confident. Parents can become increasingly confident that fewer children will suffice. Fewer children will suffice. B. You have some doubt? Suffice. To run a family business or to look after them, in an old age like that. So earlier he did not have any guarantee who will survive, who will not survive. In advance, they'll keep produce more children. So look at the parents, they already knew that someone is going to die in this, right? Right. Right. Because of increased urbanization, point B, because of increased urbanization, the cost of raising the children also increases. Next point C, due to progressive loss, that is ban on child labor, and also due to the obligation of the family, to give good education, clothes, health, etc. The birth rate reduces. Next, see. Due to a break in the joint family system, the the onus is completely on parents to look after children who are also working. Next point. Valuation of women Valuation of women beyond childbearing. Beyond childbearing and motherhood. Motherhood becomes important. Next point. Financial independence of women. Financial independence of women also gives them a choice. Also gives them a choice. That is the reproductive rights. Reproductive rights, like whether to have children, whether to have children, how many children, and when to have, and when to have. Next. Next is education and employment of women. Also reduces the reproductive lifespan. Also reduces the reproductive lifespan. So this is why the birth rate will be falling. So you can apply these principles anywhere. You can apply the same principles to India also. Okay. That's why you have to write these things in detail. Like recently we have seen one question talking about fertility rates, etc. All these things are applicable. Next. Let's see the demographic, this profile now. Here, there is stagnation. Earlier it was triangular. Now it will start becoming dumbbell shape because the birth rate is not increasing. But you already have the population, right? Okay. Still the society is patriarchal, okay? This will not change. They start becoming barrel shape now. This is barrel shape. Means it is incentivizing the couples to produce more children. Like like when they are bearing a child, okay, the pay also becomes more in a company, and also they get more holidays, they get paid also, like that. Government is put a clause in the companies, so like in India, if you take how many months of leave is given, maternity leave, 3 months, okay, later they are saying so 6 months. 6 months. Japan, it is much more. Exactly, I don't know how, but it is much more. Okay, and they're paid in that time. Okay, and it's made compulsory in in most of the employment is in formal sector. So it is made compulsory, and rules are imposed there. Okay, and if you're producing even more children now, okay, more incentives are given. Okay, if you're giving birth to a third child, then certain incentives are given. For example, okay, if you're giving birth to a girl child in India, Okay, Sukanya Samruddhi Yojana, if you're contributing some, you contribute some. At the age of this, you get these benefits, tax benefits like that. So Japan is incentivizing its population in terms of tax benefits, in terms of holidays. Okay, this maternity leaves, all this. See, Japan society now. Okay, if you take the roots of the society, Japan does not have much of natural resources. So Japan is on Pacific Ring of Fire. Okay, it is mountainous. It does not have iron ore or any other resource. So for survival, okay, they had become very laborious and very hardworking since from the beginning. And if you take the roots of the people in Japan, so these were actually Chinese of the Manchurian region, okay, who are very entrepreneurial population, business minded. Like you have Baniya community in India, Sindhi community in India, okay, they are all business minded. So these communities from the Manchurian part, because they have been undergoing ethnic persecution, they fled China and they went to Japan. So in their roots, they have this, hardworking nature. They're very laborious, industrious, like that. Okay, that's the root. And because of the lack of natural resources, okay, they have to survive. That's why they become more hardworking. And that's why in Japanese society, hardworking nature is more valued, okay, than your family time or than your anything. So they spend more offices, okay, in the office than they spend time, working at home. That is valued more. If you're hardworking, means you are rewarded. Like for example, if I take the ethos of the Indian society. For example, you're studying very hard, you're getting good marks. Your parents, your relatives, everyone will appreciate you. But after school, okay, after your studies, when you're entering into a job, okay, if you're very hardworking in your job, is it rewarded? Is it appreciated? No. But if you're having a government job or any kind of a job, if you're working less but you're earning more, that is appreciated more in our society. The ethos of the society. For example, nowadays you see, recently, in IT Bombay also, Anushka Sen was invited. Anushka Sen, the social media star, the social media influencer. Now, what you're telling to the society means, they're saying that, okay, she, okay, is much more successful than you. Okay, she's just 19-year-old. She has become famous on the social media. Now you're taking inspiration from her. You guys, you have toiled your entire life. You have worked very hard. You have cracked the most difficult examination in your life. Okay. Okay. You guys are less successful than her. Listen to her, what she's saying. Right? What is rewarded in the society? That's also more important. The Japanese society is like that. It's become like that over there. See, once I heard about Japanese and Germans also. Germans also like that. Also hardworking, less of natural resources, extreme climatic conditions. So they are more German, yeah. Yeah. You thought? What you thought? Jammu, German. Germany is also like that. If you go work in Germany, I have been to Germany. Okay, I went there as an intern. Okay, and one of the best pie universities in the world, Max Planck. I went on a holiday for it was my internship. Okay, if they used to force me to work a lot on weekends, also they asked me to work. I went for a holiday there. They're expecting me to work for an intern. Imagine what will be the status of an employee there. Right? Very alcoholic. You can't survive. Indians especially can't survive in that atmosphere until unless you love working like ass. It's all depends on society. What is morality? Morality has not got any bar. It's subjective. Even in ethics, you must be reading. Morality is subjective. It changes from time to time. Nothing, morally right. Okay. Okay. The things which are morally right, okay, like a few years ago, okay. For example, take what homosexuality, like till about even in Western societies, till 60s and 70s. You take the famous scientists also, they were punished for being homosexual. But it is much more acceptable. We are talking in public domain. The morality as a compass, there's no compass at all. It keeps changing. The society keeps transitioning. Okay. You're talking about polygamy. Means marriage, you're talking about marriage, formal marriage. That can be a solution, but women at the first place, they don't want children because it takes a lot of time. They want to work, they have a career in front of them. They can't have that much time. Who will take care of the children? They don't have any joint family, also nuclearization. And moreover, now, so by the time she decides to have children, okay, it is already late, right? 30s, like late 30s. Okay. And nowadays, after 40s, so after 38, that age, okay, the chance of getting a defective egg is more. So the rate of fertilization is also very low. So that's also a possibility. Yeah. It's matlab 700 to 800 eggs they have, right? It's a good number. Okay, fixed means not like 5 eggs only, like 700 to 800. Got it? So where are we? So we talked about this, right? Okay.
The chat box, can you please see the chat box?
What? Chat box. Okay, Salman. How about the population pyramid of North Korea? North Korea does not release any data. I guess North Korea should be in the demographic transition stage 1, I guess, between 1 and 2 somewhere. It should be. Okay. Because in North Korea, you still have a lot of famine, there is still a lot of hunger. There's uncertainty, your life expectancy. There's high IMR also. No data comes, but we can guess that it should be somewhere in stage 1 and stage 2. Okay, let's talk about population pyramid now. Now you have less children, you have more working age population. Before this, what you had? You had more children also. So comparatively, dependency ratio is healthy here. Dependency ratio is less. Therefore, population will become even more productive. Right on. Stage 3. The dependency ratio, in bracket you can write age of working population by age of children and elderly population. This is dependency ratio. The dependency ratio is low. So there is a very good demographic window. There's a very good demographic window that can become demographic dividend. That can become demographic dividend. Okay, this is the stage 3. So later on, see which all stages are applicable to India. Okay, if you see according to 2011 census, India was in this stage. But if recent census will come, especially after the COVID, now we have entered the stage 4. Okay. So rest of the things we'll see on Monday. Okay. So this is how the classes will go on. Okay, there is more of a discussion. Okay, it's not like general studies. Here we'll be doing things in very much detail. We'll make you write also. So when it comes to human geography, I'll make you write everything. And this will be the master copy. So whatever, I'm making you write, it is derived from all the textbooks. So you don't have to refer to any textbook. If at all, if you want to refer to textbook, there's a population geography by Majid Hussain. You can refer to that. But you'll be getting more content in your notebook, and the content in your notebook is more contemporary. And this will also suit to the demand of the examination. But for some specific sections, I'll be asking you to read some textbook. Okay, but no, those instances will be less. Otherwise, class notes will suffice, and practice the questions which I give you. And always keep on practicing the previous year questions. Okay. See you again. I hope you're many students are new also. What about you guys? I hope you are liking the class. Okay. Anyways, these are old only. They know me very well. Okay. So see you on Monday again, huh?